Chapter 34. In the dimly lit control room of the water treatment plant on level 38, Lucas holds a small box close to his chest. He had obtained the box through secretive means, defying his boss and deceiving Deputy Marsh. Now, as he peels open the flaps of the box, guilt washes over him. These are Juliet's belongings, a reminder of her tragic fate. Despite the guilt, Lucas decides to honor Juliet by examining her possessions. He finds stacks of vacation vouchers and expired meal cards, along with her silver sheriff's ID badge. Lucas is moved by the sight of her recent photo on the badge, remembering how she used to braid her hair while working diligently. Adding to his collection, Lucas swaps his own multi-tool for the new one he found in the box. He cherishes this reminder of her, while his own tool will likely be discarded or given away. However, Lucas's exploration is interrupted by approaching footsteps and laughter, causing him to freeze in fear of being caught. Once the coast is clear, Lucas resumes his search. He discovers an antique wooden box containing a mysterious wedding ring, likely belonging to a relative, and a delicate watch with a tiny ticking hand. Unable to resist, he pockets the watch and ring, feeling a mix of excitement and paranoia. The heat of the computer and the tension in the room intensify as Lucas continues his exploration. He finds a notepad filled with crossed-out to-do lists and a thick manual labeled Main Generator Control Room Operation Manual. The manual contains diagrams and notes showcasing Juliet's expertise, and the words Juliet repeated over and over. To Lucas's amazement, he discovers that the rear of the manual is actually the front, revealing the title The Tragic History of Romeus and Juliet, a familiar play. Overwhelmed by the significance of his findings, Lucas packs everything back into the box and prepares to leave the room, aware that he is being watched by blinking lights. As Lucas walks away, he reflects on his actions, questioning what he was thinking. Yet, with the box securely tucked under his arm and Juliet's watch, ring, and ID badge close to his heart, he knows he must protect her memory and her story, no matter the consequences. Chapter 35. In a desolate wasteland strewn with bodies, Juliet stumbles upon a mass grave. These corpses are not from her own silo. They are the remains of others who had lived and died in a world so close to her own. The realization of these lost lives overwhelms her as she traverses through the jumbled mass, climbing over bodies to reach the sensor tower. As she nears the ramp leading down to another silo, she notices bodies piled up around the sealed steel airlock door. These unfortunate souls had desperately tried to get back inside. With her impending death looming over her, Juliet feels a strange mix of fear and curiosity. Although she knows she too will meet the same fate, she pushes forward, driven by an unquenchable thirst for discovery. Juliet maneuvers through the sea of writhing bodies, using them as stepping stones towards the cracked doors. In her struggle to enter, her helmet becomes wedged between the steel jaws, trapping her in a state of semi-dangling. Panic sets in, but with sheer determination, she manages to free herself. Though exhausted and bewildered, she is determined to push forward, even as her own mortality taunts her. Finally, Juliet makes it through the doors into a burnt room that eerily resembles the one she left behind. She questions her own existence, wondering if she's already dead, caught in the realm of ghosts. However, a glimpse into the inner silo reveals that it is different from her own. She pounds on the glass, hoping for someone to hear her plea, but silence greets her instead. Realizing she needs air, Juliet focuses her attention on the wheel locks of the sealed door. She tries to turn the wheel, but it remains stubbornly immovable. Doubt creeps in as she questions her ability to free herself. However, her memory serves her well, recalling Marnes's lessons on how the inner door unlocked after the cleansing fire. Armed with this knowledge, Juliet refuses to give up. Surveying her surroundings, she spots a pipe that leads to the vents delivering argon. With determination in her eyes, she wrenches the weakened pipe from the vent. Holding the pipe tightly, she works it back and forth, bending and straining until it snaps. Now armed with a tool, Juliet wedges the pipe through the wheel lock and uses it as leverage, bouncing her weight in a jerking motion, desperately trying to free the bolt. With a deafening clang, the wheel budges and Juliet's efforts are rewarded. The door begins to open, breathing new life into her lungs. She collapses to the floor, overwhelmed by the triumph of her perseverance. And as she rises, her spirit reignited, she knows that she has defied death itself and embraced the possibility of a new future. With the door ajar, Juliet's first breath of fresh air fills her with a renewed sense of hope and purpose. She knows that she is not alone in this desolate world, and her determination to uncover the mysteries of the silo only grows stronger. Chapter 36. In the wide entrance hall of Mechanical, Walker finds himself surrounded by young shadows, full of whispers and secrets. Inside the mess hall, he takes refuge amidst the familiar faces, but an argument erupts among the men and women of Mechanical. The discussion revolves around the mysterious suits and the fate of those sent out into the desolate outside world. Walker musters the courage to speak. He interrupts the heated debate, drawing the attention of his comrades. They are astonished to see him among them, as he is known as the reclusive electrical man who dwells in a cave. Walker reveals that Jules had shared a theory about the suits and IT with him. She believed that the breakdown of the heat tape was no accident. Using the favors and connections he had accumulated over the years, Walker conspires with Supply to sabotage IT's supply chain. He ensures that the suits they receive are of inferior quality. Walker confesses that the suits were intentionally designed to fail, not because the outside world is safe, but to keep the inhabitants suppressed within the silo. Despite Walker's efforts, Jules was taken by IT, and her fate remains unknown. The revelation sparks a passionate debate among the group, with conflicting views on Jules' condition. Amidst the chaos, Walker realizes that this is the beginning of an uprising. He sees the fire in their eyes, the anger boiling within them, and he understands that they are on the brink of rebellion. As Courtney tends to Walker, he whispers to her, revealing his fears. He believes that their heated argument, the breaking of taboos, and the surge of emotions are all signs of a brewing uprising. The room falls silent as he utters the words, feeling the weight of the impending revolution. Walker knows that this is the moment everything changes, and the rebellion against the oppressive rulers of the silo begins to take shape. And so, in the mess hall of Mechanical, amidst the clamor and tension, Walker plants the seed of resistance, igniting a flame within the hearts of his comrades. The stage is set for a battle that will push the limits of their courage, as they fight to uncover the truth and reclaim their freedom from the shadows that have governed their lives for far too long. The uprising has begun. Chapter 37. Lucas arrives at the IT department, breathless and clutching a small box. He had just broken several laws to acquire it, and the adrenaline still lingers in his mouth. As he enters, he notices the chaos unfolding. Bernard, the head of IT, is yelling at his staff, while Sims, the head of IT security, berates his own men. Caught in the middle, Lucas tries to speak to Bernard but is interrupted by his boss's fixation on the box in his hands. Ignoring Lucas's explanations, Bernard opens the box to find vacation chits, which he dismisses with disgust. The tension in the room is palpable as Bernard and Sims continue to search through the box's contents, hoping to find a clue or explanation as to how Juliet survived outside. Lucas, feeling guilty and anxious, suddenly understands Bernard's anger. He realizes that Bernard is looking for an answer, desperate to understand why someone could succeed against all odds. Sims finds a notebook and begins flipping through its pages, suggesting that they need to thoroughly examine it for any signs of collusion. Meanwhile, Lucas discovers that the box actually opens with a sliding lid. Bernard seems uninterested and tosses it aside, but Sims recognizes its value as an antique and decides to keep it. The tense atmosphere continues to build, and Bernard dismisses Sims, leaving Lucas alone with him. As they sift through the remaining contents of the box, Lucas slowly realizes the burden of responsibility that Bernard carries as the interim mayor. Bernard shares his worry about one person's hubris causing the downfall of the silo and expresses the need for a trustworthy shadow to ensure the survival of the community. Bernard reveals that he considers Lucas a friend, someone he trusts, and asks Lucas to be his shadow. Lucas is caught off guard but accepts the responsibility, unsure of the full implications of this new role. Chapter 38. In the desolate darkness, Juliet fights to seal the inner airlock door, escaping the horrors outside. With the stale air in her suit dwindling, she stumbles blindly through the pitch-black hallway, desperate to find safety within the mysterious silo. Every step weighs on her, as if the toxic wind outside were clawing at her back. Guided by her instinctive sense of direction, Juliet finds solace in the touch of metal bars, assuring her that she's navigating in the right direction. Her oxygen-deprived mind races, wondering if she could find a breath of clean air within the silo, or if it would be just as toxic as the outside world. Despite her exhaustion, she pushes on, clinging to hope. Suddenly, Juliet trips over a heap of bodies, their spongy flesh feeling chillingly alive beneath her. Repulsed yet resolute, she crawls over the corpses, her body recoiling at the sensation. She moves forward, her only thought being to flee from the darkness and find a flicker of light. Finally, she reaches a door, jamming her body against it to keep it closed. The feeble glow from the stairwell radiates through the crack, revealing her surroundings. But her time is running out, her air supply dwindling rapidly. With a defiant spirit, Juliet contemplates lying down and embracing her fate, but her curiosity urges her onward. Examining her gloved hands, she marvels at the shining gloves, her appearance resembling a machine. A wave of memories floods her mind, recalling how she would dismantle things in mechanical. In this darkness, fueled by her curiosity, Juliet longs to uncover the truth outside, to take a breath and know. Swimming through the obstacles of tables and chairs, Juliet fights to distance herself from the poisonous air, her body growing weaker by the second. She reaches the cafeteria, a dim green glow guiding her steps, and desperately seeks something to cleanse herself. The sink and the hose run dry, leaving her with a last resort, the walk-in freezer. Inside the freezer, her hope falters as she finds no sign of cold. Yet, she discovers vats of soup and recklessly douses herself with it, willing to try anything to purify her suit. The darkness closes in, her vision fades, and her determination wavers. Lying on the floor, on the edge of death, Juliet contemplates removing her helmet. With trembling hands, she reaches for the latch, finally managing to release the helmet, gasping for air tainted with the putrid stench of decay. Overwhelmed, she reaches but finds no relief. Her body feels like it's burning, but she musters the strength to crawl away from the soup-filled walk-in. Breathing painfully, Juliet makes her way towards the stairwell, drawn to the faint green glow in the distance. The air, though still foul, carries the breath of life. Against all odds, she laughs with madness, sensing the impossible. She is still alive, clinging to the precious threads of existence in the depths of the silo. Chapter 39. Knox, a man accustomed to emergencies in the underground silo of Mechanical, now faces a different kind of crisis. The people of Mechanical are preparing to revolt against IT, the mysterious ruling authority. With chaos brewing, Knox takes charge and organizes a plan to seize control of supply, a vital manufacturing floor. He selects a small team to accompany him, cautioning them to be discreet and avoid drawing attention from possible informants. Meanwhile, Knox assigns Jenkins, his trusted subordinate, to secure Mechanical. He instructs Jenkins to stockpile food, water, and weapons while also ensuring the safety of their underground dwelling. Understanding the potential consequences if their actions are discovered, Jenkins pledges to carry out the tasks diligently. As Knox and his team ascend the stairwell, carrying heavy loads of supplies, they encounter curious onlookers fascinated by the news of Juliet's disappearance. Despite the physical exhaustion, Knox presses on, eager to reach Supply as quickly as possible. Upon arriving at Supply, their reception is far from welcoming. McLean, the head of Supply, confronts Knox with skepticism and anger. However, Knox manages to convince her to have a private conversation. Inside Supply, Knox observes a tense atmosphere as the workers eye his team suspiciously. To McLean's surprise, instead of begging for forgiveness, Knox delivers a passionate speech, exposing the lies and deception that IT has perpetuated within the silo. He urges the workers of Supply to see the uprising has already begun, to join the cause and bring order to their lives. Though McLean initially appears unconvinced, she asks the workers of Supply to voice their opinion. In a moment of revelation, the crowd erupts with angry war cries, their voices overpowering Knox's own supporters in an overwhelming display of unity. Chapter 40. As Lucas follows Bernard through the labyrinthine halls of IT, he can't help but feel the weight of hidden eyes watching their every move. It seems Bernard has already decided that Lucas will be his shadow, even though Lucas hasn't fully accepted the offer. The tension builds as they approach the server room, the nervous techs scattering like startled insects. Bernard opens up about his plans, explaining that he needs someone who can step in and take over if something were to happen to him. Lucas's confusion mounts as Bernard mentions his will and the need to change his executor, Sims. Before Lucas can fully comprehend the situation, they enter the heavily fortified server room, shutting the door behind them. In the heart of the server room, Bernard reveals a hidden key that opens a cabinet holding the true heart of the silo. Lucas follows Bernard to the back of the server room where Bernard unlocks a machine Lucas has never seen before. The machine appears to have been stripped down over the years, leaving only an empty shell. With a sudden shift in Bernard's demeanor, he instructs Lucas to lock the back of the machine and then proceeds to pry open the metal slats of the floor. Lucas's mind races as he starts descending down a ladder into an unknown space. As they step into the room, Lucas realizes that the world he once knew pales in comparison to the wonders before him.